Why are hands always so hard to draw? As an artist who has been drawing for many years, when I first started, I kept asking myself, why the hell are hands so complicated to draw? And why do they never turn out the way you want? And the answer is actually pretty clear. Hand anatomy is simply one of the hardest parts of the entire human body to draw. Hands are difficult because of a mix of anatomy, complexity, and how we perceive them. So in today's video, we're going to try to understand hand anatomy and uncover the secrets to finally mastering the art of drawing hands. Let's go! Why are hands so difficult? It's actually pretty simple. Hands have a huge number of bones and joints. Each hand has 27 bones, which allows for an insane variety of poses. And because of that, even very small mistakes become extremely noticeable. Since there are so many bones, there's also a lot of movement and flexibility. If you combine that with difficult perspectives, drawing hands can quickly feel impossible. On top of that, fingers are constantly foreshortened. Their size changes depending on the position, which means every finger looks different and needs to be drawn differently. And fingers aren't just simple cylinders. They might look like tubes, but in reality they have planes and changes in thickness, which makes the process of drawing realistic hands even harder. But before we keep going, I want to share something that's been part of my process while working on this video. For this study, I've been drawing my sketches on my iPad using Procreate, and when I felt stuck with anatomy, I decided to go back to learning properly instead of just guessing. That's when I started using Skillshare, which is the sponsor of today's video. Skillshare is a creative learning platform where you can join lots of classes, from anatomy and figure drawing to illustration, character design, and a lot of Procreate classes too. What I really like is that these classes are taught by experienced, real creatives, and they focus a lot on actually practicing, not just watching. While studying, I took this anatomy class on Skillshare, how to draw stylized poses and anatomy, breaking down the basic shapes. And it helped me understand the structure of the arms and hand much better. I followed the lessons, and these sketches you're seeing are part of that process. And honestly, I can see the improvement. If this year you want to draw more or reconnect with your creativity instead of endlessly scrolling, this is a great place to start. And if you want to try it out, the first 500 people to use my link in the description or scan the QR code will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Now let's go back to the video. Let's be honest, a lot of us don't practice hands nearly enough. And I'm definitely guilty of that. I've always tried to simplify my art process as much as possible, and sometimes that means avoiding the hands in complicated perspectives. Most of the times I try to hide them as much as I can, partly because they are hard and partly because pure laziness. But in today's video, we are not avoiding hands. We are going to do our best to finally understand hand anatomy from any perspective. The first step, as always, is finding good references. For this, I made a playlist with YouTube videos that I found super helpful to studying hand anatomy. Hands can be simplified into basic shapes, like rectangles for the palm. Once that's done, draw simple lines coming out of the palm to indicate the direction of each finger. This helps a lot with proportions and movement. Each finger has 3 main parts. You can build them using small cylinders or blocks. For the thumb, it's important to remember that it starts lower and at a different angle. Once all the fingers are sketched, we adjust the proportions. The middle finger is usually the longest, the index and ring fingers are similar in length, and the pinky is the shortest. Finally, connect all the shapes and soften the lines to give the hand a more natural look. To draw hands in different perspectives, imagine the palm as a box or block. Tilt it according to the perspective before adding the fingers. Remember that each finger acts like a cylinder that shortens or stretches depending on the perspective. It really helps to imagine how the hand will look from above, below, or other side. Visualization is part of drawing, and don't be afraid to use your own hand as a reference. Once I had studied the hand anatomy in depth, I decided to do some exercises before moving on to the final challenge. I searched for references of hands in different poses and perspective, choosing some easier ones and some more complex ones. This exercise really made me realize how many variations a hand can have. It's honestly crazy. And you can combine both hands, creating poses that seem impossible at first glance. As I mentioned before, I started with simple poses to warm up, then moved on to more complex ones, and finally ended with poses that included both hands. I didn't draw the arms yet because that would be part of the final exercise. I tried to simplify the hand shapes as much as possible at first, and then gradually add more detail. The result was this! I actually liked it a lot. The poses with both hands were much more complicated and the results weren't as good, but I learned a lot and it really helped me understand my initial notes much better. And once again, it was time for the final challenge. This time I wanted to create a full illustration where I could test everything I had learned: hand anatomy, perspective, and composition. I wanted the hand to be the main focus of the illustration, so composition played a huge role here. I decided to draw Columbina from Genshin Impact. Started by doing a sketch, and then I added more structure to the body and the hand using the box method. After that, I added the muscles and skin and other details. Finally, I added the base colors and rendered everything with shadows and highlights. And this was the final result. I'm honestly really happy with it. Not only did I work on a very difficult hand pose, but I also worked a lot on composition to make the hand stand out as the main focus. It was a huge challenge for me, but I think we didn't do too bad. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you want to try something similar, feel free to share it in our Discord server. The server is full of artists who are always happy to help, and there are tons of super useful art resources there. And that's it for today's challenge. It was a really big one, and I was very excited to do it. I've always been terrible at drawing hands. Let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see on the channel. It can be art tutorials, speed paints, or whatever you want to see from me. I hope you liked the video, and see you in the next one. Bye bye!